In this video, I'm going to be revisiting some of the films that I loved watching for the first time last year. I hadn't seen any of these films before. Many of them I had heard about, but had just not gotten around to. So I'm going to go through 10 of them that I have selected for this video, and hopefully you too can add some of these to your watch list. So first up we have Evil Dead 2 from Sam Raimi. Now I had never seen this film or the first film from Sam Raimi, Evil Dead, and I managed to pick the two 4K discs up just before Halloween, so I was able to watch these during spooky season, and I had a great time with these films, but particularly Evil Dead 2, because it takes what was so great about the first film and then ramps it up, adds this surreal comedic element to the story and the characters. So it has become a new favourite for me within the horror genre, and I think one that I'm going to revisit every single October. The next film that I would like to talk about is Under the Silver Lake. This is directed by David Robert Mitchell, who surprised everyone with his directorial debut, It Follows. That was a film that I saw in the cinema years and years ago, and I was very surprised with how good it was, because I went into it expecting just a very average horror movie, but somehow it was what the kids are calling elevated horror, which I don't think is a good term for it, but I kind of get what they mean. But anyway, he followed up that film with Under the Silver Lake, which is not a horror film, although there are certain horror elements at times in this film. This is more of a mysterious thriller as we follow this young guy who isn't working, and he is almost looking for some kind of conspiracy to get into. He's looking for mystery in his life, and he stumbles upon something, and it just leads him down the rabbit hole. There's so many weird things going on in this film that could be clues to something, or they could be red herrings, dead ends. I heard years ago that the film got booed at Cannes, and that Mitchell went and re-edited the film because of the poor performance at Cannes. So I don't know what the original cut would be like, but that definitely has me intrigued. Maybe we'll see it one day on a disc, who knows. I think it's a very entertaining film and very well done indeed. I had so much fun watching this and rewatching it during last year. With the next film, we're going back to 1950. It's a Western from Anthony Mann starring the great Jimmy Stewart, Winchester 73. This is one that I'd wanted to see for many, many years, but you could not get the Blu-ray disc in the UK. It had never had a release, but it was released in Germany, and I managed to pick this up really, really cheap on the German Amazon website. And I was so pleased when I finally got to see the film. I think this is perhaps Anthony Mann's masterpiece. Anthony Mann was so great at directing westerns, and he made a number of films with Jimmy Stewart, but I do think this is the finest one. The film is a bit of a cat and mouse story. One guy is trying to track down another guy, and there is this central item, this weapon, the Winchester 73 rifle, that is being passed around all different people, and we are learning the story through the gun itself, sort of. So a very great way to tell the story, and a very visually stunning film. So if you're a fan of classic westerns, this is a great one. Another film that I loved watching last year is Petit Mama from Céline Sciamma. This is a wonderful film about the relationship between a mother and a daughter, and it's told in such an interesting fashion. I won't spoil it, you just have to watch this one. It's a French movie. It's a very short movie as well. It is 72 minutes long, so it is a great swift watch, and it's just a brilliant follow-up from Sciamma after she made Portrait of a Lady on Fire, which is one of the finest movies of the last few years. So I highly recommend this to anyone who wants a touching mother-daughter story and just a great movie. This next one is so much fun. Even saying the title is really fun. It's Kill Them All and Come Back Alone. This is a spaghetti western from Enzo Castellari. This is on the Cult Classics from Studio Canal, the Blu-ray. And this is just such a fun movie. It follows this band of mercenaries who have been tasked to steal a whole load of money from this army fortress. And there's tons of great action, tons of great character moments. The conflict between the characters is great. And it looks amazing on this Blu-ray. I was so surprised with this one because I didn't know anything about this film before watching it. And I ended up having such a great time. So if you're a fan of westerns, particularly spaghetti westerns like those of Sergio Leone or Sergio Corbucci, then definitely check this one out. Now, this next film will probably raise a lot of eyebrows from my regular viewers, but I think this is genuinely a brilliant film that looks at the society of the period. It is Pain and Gain, the film from Michael Bay. I imagine most people probably recoil inside when they hear the name Michael Bay. I personally have quite a fondness for the movies of Michael Bay. I don't really see what other people see in his movies. You know, people say that his movies tend to be very commercialized, very devoid of any emotions or characters or real feelings. I completely disagree with that, particularly with this one. You see, the thing is, this film is a social satire. It is a commentary on modern American life, modern American ideals, and Western ideals as a whole, because I can definitely see reflections of this in society here in England as well. It follows this group of personal trainers who decide to really live the American dream and make tons and tons of money, but it very easily slips into the criminal world, and there's a lot of great fun and story there. Many people who appreciate this movie have compared it to Scorsese's Goodfellas, which I'm sure a lot of people will turn their nose up at that comparison. But I think it is genuinely doing similar things to what Goodfellas did for gangsters, and showing the kind of American dream through that movie is being done in the same way here by Michael Bay. He's using a lot of interesting camera techniques in this movie, and he always finds a unique way to tell the story, whether you like that or not. It's a great story about these two people who are working in a shop together, and they really do not like each other. But it turns out that they are actually sending anonymous letters to each other secretly, and there is a romance there between the two, but they think they are romantically involved with some stranger, when in fact it's with each other. So there's some great dramatic irony there, because we as the audience know what's going on, but we love watching it unfold. Lubitsch had such a knack for comedic storytelling through his direction, and this film is no different, and it shot up to being a new favourite of mine. One of the films that I visited for the first time last year from one of my favourite French filmmakers is La Prisonnière from Henri-Georges Clouzot. This was the final film he made before he passed away, and this is so different to some of his earlier works. It is very psychological, more so than his early thrillers like Diabolique. It follows the wife of an artist who gets involved with the gallery owner where her husband's art is being shown. And this gallery owner, he has a particular eye for some quite perverse and submissive things. So it gets into the psychology of all of that, but with some very interesting experimental techniques used in the film. It was also Clouzot's only film that he shot in colour, and it looks so good on colour. I really wish he was able to make more films using colour. But we do have this one film that looks amazing and is a great story from the master Clouzot. The next film that I want to recommend is A Cure for Wellness. I missed this years and years ago when it came out at the cinema, but I finally picked up this Blu-ray for quite cheap, and I thought, you know what, let's give it a go. I know that the critical response to this movie was quite split at the time, but I find myself on the side of really loving this film. The film follows this young business executive who is sent to visit the CEO of his company at this wellness centre abroad. And while he is there, he gets wrapped up in some of the strange goings on and he cannot leave. So it's very much a mysterious thriller that is sort of a gaslight story, and it goes in so many different directions. I couldn't predict what was happening. Gore Verbinski is a director who I have a real fondness for. I think he's made a number of great films, and even working within the big budget blockbuster studio system with huge budgets on these movies, he is able to really experiment and get his artistry across. Many of his films have been panned, but I believe there is something special in his movies and I really appreciate them. I wish he had gotten to make his BioShock movie based on the video game series. I would have loved to have seen that, but you can see many shades of BioShock in A Cure for Wellness. So if that piques your interest, definitely give this one a go. I also had so much fun with this next one. It's The League of Gentlemen. This is on the Network Blu-ray that was released here in the UK. This is a classic British movie that I had never seen before, and the cast of this movie is classic British actors from the period. It has so many people that you would have seen in the big films of the day here in England. The story follows these ex-army officers who feel that they have been hard done by the government because they haven't really been compensated for the sacrifices and the hard work they made while they were part of the army. So they decide they're going to rob a bank together to get some money that they feel like they deserve. I love a good heist movie, and this definitely falls into that category of some of the best heist movies ever made. I would put this up there with Rififi from Jules Dassin. I'd put it up there with Le Cercle Rouge from Melville. I'd put it up there with Ocean's 11 from Soderbergh, which I really, really love. And it looks pretty good on the Blu-ray here in the black and white photography. So I had a great time with this one. Any British, classic film fans should check this out. If you enjoyed all of these recommendations in this video and you want some more from me, just click the video that's presented on screen right now. It'll take you to another video where I talk about many more films that I'd like to recommend to you. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.